Embassy, and also we have speakers from Universitas Muhammadiyah Sidenreng Rappang, and also we have speaker from Polytechnic University of the Philippines, and also we have a speaker from Muhammadiyah University of North Maluku. So before we start this webinar series, we would like to remind everyone that, and also later we will be sharing the link for the e-material and also for your attendance list and also for the certificate. So for the participants, after all the speakers, after this webinar or after this program, you will be given a link in the chat box. So make sure that you copy the link for the attendance and also certificate and also for the e-material. Okay, and also after all the speakers, we will give a time. If you have any questions or clarification, you may type it in the Q&A box. And I guess that's it. So kami ingin sampaikan kepada peserta bahwa setelah semua pembicara selesai memberikan paparannya, kami akan memberikan waktu untuk bertanya. Pertanyaan bisa diketikkan di bagian Q&A, dan juga nanti kami akan memberikan survei, kami minta bantuan untuk dapat mengisinya, dan juga untuk attendance list dan sertifikat, kami akan membagikan link di chat box, dan semoga semua peserta tidak lupa untuk copy the link. So before we start this webinar, we would like to request everyone to please stand and pause for a while for the singing of the national anthem of Indonesia and Philippines, and to be followed by the doxology in Islam and Christian.
Gak ada. selalu belajar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni fahma. Artinya, ya Allah, tambahkanlah aku ilmu dan berikanlah aku rizki akan kepahaman.
Thank you so much. Dipersilakan duduk kembali. You may take your seats. And now to open this program, may we request the Education and Culture Attaché of the Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia, Ibu Lili Nurlaili, to give the opening remarks.
Thank you, Mbak Manet. Good morning, everybody. Selamat pagi, magandang umaga, sa inyong lahat. My Honorable Professor Richard M. Campos, my Honorable yang saya hormati Bapak Andi Asrifan, yang saya hormati Bapak Adi F. Mahmud, yang saya hormati Bapak Adam Jerusalem, yang saya hormati Pak Bahrun Amin. Kemudian di sini ada Pak Pramudana Ihsan, ada Pak Faizi Sultoni, yang saya hormati juga dosen-dosen Muhammadiyah yang hadir saat ini, mahasiswa-mahasiswa, and yang saya hormati juga semua peserta dari Filipina. Until now, the participant is 150. Thank you to join with this webinar series. We are making webinar series 5 days from Monday, Tuesday until Friday. And then it is between collaboration between University of Muhammadiyah with the PUP of Polytechnic University of Philippines and with Centro Escolar University, because they are already making MOU maybe 2 years ago. And I hope until Friday, this activity is still going on and then success, because all of the speaker and all of the participant is very interesting, want to know about the material and then the presentation. Thank you very much. And then dengan mengucapkan bismillah, saya lanjutkan webinar hari ketiga saat ini. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Ibu. Thank you so much, Ibu Lili Nurlaili. And now our webinar with the theme Strategic Planning Process Using Blended Methodology in Classroom is officially open. To begin with, for the keynote speaker, we have here again Dr. Lili Nurlaili. Please help me welcome Ibu Lili Nurlaili. You may start your presentation.
Thank you, Mbak Manet. Ya. Kok belum masuk?
Sekali lagi kami ingin menyampaikan kepada semua peserta jika ada pertanyaan atau klarifikasi bisa diketikkan di bagian Q&A. We would like to remind our participants again, if you have any question or clarification regarding the presentation of our speakers, you may type it in the Q&A. Thank you.
Just only give explanation about blended learning. Maybe all of you or most of you, the participant is already know about the blended learning. And then I just give explanation about the practical and fun of the blended learning. Why we are using blended learning now, and then why the blended learning is very famous right now. Because in Indonesia, several schools and campuses have been open face-to-face. And there are still many schools and campuses that use online learning. Because of that, we can call that is a blended learning. Some of them is face-to-face, but some of them is still using online learning. For example, in here, Indonesian Embassy, Indonesian Attaché, we have Indonesian school at the Davao. The school is 51 years ago, and right now we are using a blended learning. Why? Because most of them, they are live in the dormitory, and then some of them, they are going back to the area in Davao or Mindanao. If they are still in the asrama or dormitory, we are using face-to-face, but we are using the protocol, strictly protocol. Just only 10 students every class, and then we must distance 1.5 meter. And for the student, they are going back to their hometown. That is very far. And then if they have online, they using online learning. Why blended learning? 10 drivers of blended learning. That is, one is improve ability to personalize learning. Second is potential for individual progress. Three, improve student engagement and motivation. Shift to online state test starting in 2015. Need to extend time and stretch resources. And six, potential to extend the reach of effective teachers. Ability to improve working condition, decrease device cost, and student and parent adoption of learning app. Interest in narrowing of the digital divide. Blended learning combines the best aspect of online learning: structure, face-to-face activity, and real-world practice. Online learning systems, classroom training, and of each that counter the other's weakness. Four concepts regarding blended learning, namely, first is blended learning is learning that combine or combining various web-based technology to achieve goals education. Blended learning is a combination of various approaches learning, such as behaviorism, constructivism, cognitivism, for produce and optimal learning achievement with or without learning technology. C, blended learning is also a combination of many technology formats learning, such as videotape, CD-ROM, web-based training, films. with face-to-face learning. Blended learnings combine learning technology with command actual work tasks to create a good influence on learning and assignment. The purpose of learning blended learning is helping students to develop better in the learning process according to learning style preference in learning. Provides realistic practical opportunities for educator and student for learning independently, useful and growing. Increase scheduling flexibility for student with combining the best aspect of face-to-face and online instruction. Face-to-face classes can be used to involve students in interactive experience, whereas the online portion gives students with multimedia content that is rich in knowledge at all times and anywhere as long as students have internet access. Overcoming learning problems that require a solution through use of various learning methods. Why blended learning is still difficult to implementation? First is difficulty creating interesting learning content because maybe the teacher or the lecturer, they don't have any idea to make interesting content using e-learning. Number two is having problems with the capacity of lecture and the room. Number three is student with limited time. Yeah, maybe there are some of them is employee, but if they don't employee, maybe they are boring using online for the whole day. Lecture and student technology literacy is quite good. Student and lecturer have reliable internet connection. Yeah, maybe they are very far from internet and then very difficult connected. Okay, the classroom learning. This is a blended learning. Classroom learning is a lot of motivation, one-to-one feedback, personal time and counseling, progress tracking, guidance, assessment, and practice activity. But online learning is there must self-study, mobility, self-direction, self-tracking and control, online assessment, group chat, and discussion. And then blended learning combine classroom learning and online learning. The blended learning is inquiry project-based learning. Teach integration. What mean integration? Yeah, between the real and then using internet. Global connection, game-based learning, maybe direct instruction, peer-to-peer teaching, focus on mastery, virtual learning platform. Blended learning have several models, rotation model, flex model, self-blend model, enriched virtual model. And then that is depend on situation, rotation, lab rotation, flip learning, and individual rotation. How to plan for an effective blended learning? First, emphasize on identifying clear learning objective. Like any other training program, it is very important in blended learning to identify the right course goals and objective before you start creating the content. The objective serve the purpose of a roadmap and help you in understanding where the learning is headed and what topic you need to cover to successfully achieve the course objective. Second, prepare a comprehensive course outline to guide the learners. Having a proper outline and syllabus for you, blended learning program will provide multiple benefits for your learner. The learner can make use of the outline to keep a track of their learning. Ask yourself all the probable questions. What skill you expect your learner to develop by the end of the program? What information should be included in the course and etc. On the other hand, the developer or the facilitator of the program can ensure that the is determine the level of interactivities for greater engagement. The best part about developing a blended learning program is that you have complete control over determining how engaging you want your course to be. This would again depend on two factors. The first is how much of the learning will take place online and how much of it will be self-paced activities. While opting for a blended learning strategy, you could choose from a variety of tools and delivery methods to impart instruction to your learner. These tools also come with a host of interactive elements that make learning all the more fun and engaging. Number 4, plan your group activities to enhance the learning curve. Collaborating with the group is absolutely necessary when planning for an effective blended learning program. When the learners exchange their idea, experiences, skill, and perspective, it creates an enhanced knowledge sharing environment which benefit one and all in the study group. For instance, you could ask the group to log into an online chat forum to discuss a particular topic or question. They will get an opportunity to share their view and experience with others who may benefit from the discussion. Number 5, determine how learners should communicate with facilitator. While developing a blended learning program, you must make sure that the learner are aware of how they should communicate with their facilitator regarding any question or concern they may have related to the topic. This will make them feel they have a strong support system to rely at time of need at the same time. You must also determine ways in which you could gather feedback from the program participant. Number 6, put down a list of links and resources for future reference. Since a part of your blended learning program is conducted online, it is good to offer your learners a list of valuable resources that they can refer post the session. For instance, you can point them to links and other web resources which they can refer in order to delve deeper into the topic. Number 7, determine which assessment strategy works best to track progress. Like every learning program, a blended learning program too is incomplete without a proper assessment strategy in place. As a developer, you need to determine how you would test the knowledge of the participant at the end of each module, whether it should be through a quiz or a summary that they need to complete, or even engaging themselves in a lively discussion through different web forums. Assessment strategies help the participant to mark their improvement areas and use the knowledge and skill gained from the program in their daily job role. Thank you, maraming salamat. Terima kasih, Mbak Manet.
Thank you so much, Ibu, for the presentation regarding the blended learning. And also thank you for sharing to us on how to make this blended learning effective. You showed us 7 ways or strategies on how to make this blended learning. Thank you so much, Ibu. And now we will proceed to our next speaker. We have here from Universitas Muhammadiyah Sidenreng, Rappang. He is the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education. Dr. Andi Asrifan, S.Pd, M.Pd. To Bapak, you may start your presentation.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Salatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Good morning, everyone. Good morning from South Sulawesi, Indonesia. First of all, I would like to thank you for the Embassy of Republic of Indonesia, Manila in Philippines, General Board of Muhammadiyah, the government of Philippines, and the Polytechnic University of Philippines in Philippines. Thank you so much. For this session, I will share about the pedagogical approaches in online distance learning. In this case, I want to share and then show the best practice that we have done in Universitas Muhammadiyah Rappang during the pandemic and then post the pandemic now. Right now, also still some people, especially in South Sulawesi, impact of COVID-19. Let me introduce first a little about myself. I'm a lecturer in Faculty of Teacher Training and Education in Universitas Muhammadiyah Rappang. And in Universitas Muhammadiyah Rappang have 4 faculty. That is the Teacher Training and Education. We have Science and Technology faculty, and then we have the Graduate Program, and then Social Science and Politics faculty. Before we start, my presentation, so let me show you. Let me show you use this video. This is the software technology that we have face in the future. We will face the robot. There could be even robot pharmacy in 2021, next year, hopefully. And the next technology is sensor. The Internet of Things is only going to expand from the sidewalk to walk on the clothing we wear. And then 1 trillion different sensor could be, and connected by internet in 2022, the next 2 years. And then the next technology is in medical, where 3D printing revolutions in health. And then it could be shown in 2024. Surely internet, the next technology, that 79% of respondents survey believe that the internet will become the basic right by 2024. And the next is phones. We still remember that we have in older phones from the biggest one into the small one, but that's useful now. We can do anything by our device. And then we predict that by phone we can do the sensor of mind, and then maybe it will be in the few years forward. Okay, thank you. The next, for all participants, please feel free this in Menti. You may scan barcode. This one we have 3 questions, and then we will discuss in the fourth. Just open in www.menti.com and then use the code 68 94 and then 50. Oh, that's okay. 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 So please feel free and then you open to www.menti.com and then just type use the code 668 994 and 50. The first question is a teacher deliver learning and enable interaction despite the physical gap using online resources or tool. That is the online learning or distance learning or remote learning or online distance learning. Okay. Oh, great. Oh, great. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Uh, Most of the student or participant are in correct. The correct answer is online distance learning. Okay. We move to the next question is okay. Online distance learning is not homeschooling. Okay. Ex- oh, oh, great. Most of participants are true. The answer is true that online distance learning is not homeschooling. Okay. The last question is online distance learning need teachers who are expert in technology. That is true or false? We underline here teachers who are expert in technology. The answer is false because we do not need the teacher who are expert just how to operate the computer or technology. That thank you so much for all the answer. So let's move to the next. What we cover today, we have four main topic here. The first is we will discuss about the four generation in this case, who they are and what are their motivations. And then the next is type of online distance learning. And then the last one is understanding learning in digital age. And then the last is some best practice during and the post pandemic COVID-19. Let's move to the first point here. You may show you may see that some graph here started from the 1980 1916 to 1917. This is what happened in the internet minute, where we can see that some of platform of Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube from the 1916 in WhatsApp user we have more than 20 million message from a minute, and then move to the next year we have increase in sending message in a minute, and then we move to the 1918 to 19 9 to 2019, where the WhatsApp Google user is the user who are logging in Google, YouTube. We have increasingly login from year to year, and then in 2018 we have more than 30 million, and then in 2019 is more than 40 million message sent in a minute. Wow, that's great from year to year. And then someone who watch the YouTube from 2018, we have more than 4 million view the video in the in a minute. And then in last year we have almost 400 and 4,500 million video view in internet minutes. And then this year, wow, that's awesome that internet user who in Facebook login in sending a message in search query in the Google, and then also in sending a message through WhatsApp, through WhatsApp. Wow, that's unbelievable. So we remember that technology won't replace all the teacher, but the teacher who use technology effectively will probably replace teacher who do not. Uh, Technology won't replace all the teacher, but teacher who use technology effectively will probably replace teacher who do not. Here, the four generations that I mentioned before, where we have a traditionalist, we have baby boomer, we have millennialist, millennial, and then we have General X. Where in Generation X, the characteristic here, they are in informal learner. They give them choices, and then they like to self-directed schedule prepare. They have need life school balance, and then like frequent feedback. That's the characteristic of a student in Generation X. And then in traditionalists, the characteristic of student in this area, they prepare logical sequence, teach a verse, need structure, prepare to maintain their privacy. And then in baby boomer here, passionate about the content, do not like rigid instructions, and they link to the personal and experience. And then this is different with now in millennial. They need structure. If you teach, they need structure. They expect extend feedback, strong sense of entitlement, and the like to connect with instructor. So this is the pace of education, like in Revolution 4.0. We start from Revolution 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, now in 4.0. That is the same in education. We just remember in education 1.0 that this is emphasized that in a teacher center. When I was in junior high school in Indonesia, so I still remember when the teacher comes in our class, they write down in the whiteboard, and through by using chalk, and then we write down, and then like the teacher center. And then in education 2.0, that is learner as a representative of knowledge. And then in education 3.0, that is a project and inquiry based learning, social networking, collaboration, accessing global expertise, and then collaborative interactive with tool or blog or Google, or searching something in social media and so on. But now it's still different in education 4.0, where the learner as a connector, creator, and constructivist. where here the learner open access to information, learner as connected maker, learner as content producer and sharer, and then also the web as a curriculum, and then the learner can access to expert, learner as the teacher, but educator and resource guide. We are just a resource guide. The target of education from starting from the education 1.0 to 4.0 is too different, where in target education in 1.0, that is the target of education is green evaluation, and then the next industry and technology, the next is knowledge society, and now this is innovation society. The concept change, uh, we feel too different from year to year, where from teacher center instruction become to student center instruction, from single sense stimulation become to multi-sensory stimulation, from single path progression become to multi-path progression, from single media become to multimedia, from isolated work become to collaborative work, and then from information delivery become to information exchange. And in taxonomy Bloom, uh, also have a difference, and then now that revised, where in the past of taxonomy, Bloom taxonomy, in the higher is in the higher of the top in the triangle, uh, we have evaluation, and then synthesis, analysis, application, comprehension, and knowledge. And that's two different with now in this context. In the bottom, we have remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and in the top is creating. The higher you go up the triangle, the higher you level of thinking. This is the old version of Bloom taxonomy, and then the new version of Bloom taxonomy, and then now we have web doc also in 2002, where uh, knowledge comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, in evaluation. That is in the old version, and then in new version of Bloom, we have remembering in the bottom, understanding, applying, analysis, evaluating, and creating. And then what could learning look like? The learning should has the content. Content here, what student learn? What student learn here should be abstractness, complexity, in this case, interrelationship, variety, student of people, study of method of inquiry. And then the learning should have the process. Process here is a thinking process used to learn. High level thinking, creativity, critical, open-ended learns, group interaction, variable pacing, variable of learning, uh, 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 the briefing, freedom of choice, and then learning should has learning environment where student learn. In this case, student center, independence and value, open, accepting, complex as physical or virtual. And then the last, learning should has the product. Product here is result of learning. Result of learning here should has the real problem, real audiences, real deadlines, transformative in this case, rather than regulation and appropriate evaluation. Okay, the in digital age like now, especially in iPad or iPhone, in the application of Bloom taxonomy, where we have creating, evaluating, analysis, apply, understand, remembering. I think uh, we have all the application here, the platform here in our device, where in creating someone who have an iPad or iPhone, uh, we we can use the audiobook, iMovie, comic book, Sonic Peak, Animoto, Puppet, and so on. That is creating. And in evaluating, we have Skype, Science 360, and so on. Analyzing, we have some platform also. In applying, we have Keynote, Visualize, Presenter Link, and so on. And understanding, we have Motion Math, 1, 2, 3 chart, Escape, and so on. And then the last in remembering, we have iBook. And then we have Clicker, we have a Globe. How about in Android application? How the Bloom taxonomy revised is in application of platform. In creating, the user of Android can use or instruct the student through storytelling, video creating, video casting, mixing, animating, and post-casting. In evaluating, we have some moderating, conferencing through Skype, and then posting, and then we have collaborating, networking. In analyzing, we have organizing, surveying, and then some other platform. And then in applying, we have some platform application here, like editing, demonstrating, presenting. The same is in understanding, we have tweeting, we have blogging. And then in remembering, we have some platform like word processing, mind mapping, Google searching. Tutorial designer, collaboration coordinator, scribe, researchers contribution to. In this case, we
Kita buka ya, Mas. Aku belum pernah buka, Bunda. Wah, kurang seru.
we have instruct them to write down through in the computer. We have instruct the student to do in the tool blender, and then chart these, make it something to find it based of our instruction. Look for something, and make the point for our presentation, catch the action, inspire, and then can roam in our room. This is the digital engagement evolution, where started in the 1993 to 1999. We have a web server log, and then in the next we have a web behavior, digital behavior, and now until 2011 to present, we have digital intelligence. Okay, so this is how the personal learning environment, where to increase our communication, we can use some platform in online audio, online video, bookmark, to make the collaboration, only searching, blog, productivity and note, uh, social media and technology. There are many, 1,000 platform that can use in our classroom, and then we just make the a systemic system to use for every platform. This is based on Benjamin S. Bloom, where a higher, just now I explained that, in creating, evaluating, analyzing, apply, understanding, and remembering. And then also some activity here. We have action verb. For example, in create, the action verb here: image, transforms, pose, change, and here we instruct the student to make songs, watching the movie, video editing, and then the tool here we can use the print or PowerPoint or a WordPress and then blog and so on. That is the how the technology come in the Bloom taxonomy revised now. This is just the learning theory, how we create the learning technology, the learning theory from the basic until in until the top of the technology. And then now we come to the type of course. The type of course here, we remember that we have four types of course. The first type is traditional. The second is the web facilitated, blended, and online. In traditional, the portion of using content delivered online is 0%. That is course with no online technology use content in delivery, in writing or orally. And then in web facilitated, the content delivered online to 1 to 90 29%. And then in blended, the content delivery online 30 to 79%, where in online course is more than 80%. That is based on Allen, Simon, and Garrett 2007. So let's move to the next point is type of online distance learning. We have two keywords here. What is the online learning and then distance learning? We have four sub topic here. So what is the online learning? Online learning is both online learning and distance learning require a similar online learning tool, but there are similar ends. So the difference here, we have three keywords. The first that make the online learning and distance learning difference is about the location. Location with online learning, sometimes we call e-learning. A student can be together in the classroom with the instructor while working together with digital lesson and assessment. When using distance learning, a student work online at home while the teacher assign work and check in digitally. And the next difference here is instruction. Instruction because of the differences of location, the instruction between us and our students differ as well. Online learning will involve in-person interaction between you and your student on a regular basis. This because online learning is used as a blended learning technique. Just now, Dr. Lili explained along with our teaching strategy. Distance learning include no in-person instruction between teacher and student. However, you will rely really on digital form and communication such as messaging application, video call, discussion board, and your school learning management system or LMS. And then the last difference here, online learning and distance learning is differences in intention. In this case, online learning is designed to be used in combination with a variety of other in-person teaching methods. It's a supplemental way of mixing things up in your classroom to provide a variety of learning opportunity for your student. Distance learning is a method for delivering instruction solely online, not as a variation in your teaching style. So the next is what's the advantage of online learning and distance learning? Online learning here to start the excellent way to increase student engagement when we use in blended learning. So the second is in online learning. That's a tool that make easier for our differentiation, your differentiate of of our instruction in teaching. And finally, when we use online learning, we can find it as we can save our time with planning and grading. And then that's different in advantage with the distant learning, where in distant learning like this, distant learning can continue without disruption, even in event like show day or not or right like right now in COVID-19. And then distant learning provide greater flexibility for students to work in their own pace and review work assignment. And then uh, drawback. That's the problem. What's problem in online learning and distance learning? Uh, to start online learning, I think that's rely on the student having access technology. That's problem. Having access technology in school or on a regular basic, and then online learning bring up many concern about screen time in the classroom. And then the final problem is that can occur with online learning is that a student may cheat when using digital tool. I think that's the biggest problem. And then in distance learning, it's not feasible to use distance learning if our student don't have access to device or the internet at home. And then the distance learning make it difficult to keep tab on whether your student are actually working. And then distance learning can make cheating even easier than online learning. So finally, in distance learning can result in even more screen time for your student. So the last question is, which is the better? So online learning and distance learning each have a place in education. One would be better than the other depending on the need of you as a student and your student, and based also in your locations. It is good to use or to apply online learning or distance learning in your school or in your institution. So in talking about the online learning, we have virtual learning. In this case, the asynchronous and then synchronous. Asynchronous here, the student learning in their own pace through video, project, and etc. And then synchronous here, online classes, learning together through video conferencing. So in asynchronous, student can learn and review at their own pace, flexible for student learning in different time zone. Teacher can include the range of student-based learning tool and give feedback accordingly, and then less chance for technical difficult in bringing on lesson. And different with synchronous, where that is in synchronous that allows students to feel connected to one another during class, and then teacher can provide feedback and clarification on the spot, and students follow along with the teacher and ask question in the real time, and then similar to the actual student school. So the student have a routine. This is the model of live or synchronous, and then on demand or asynchronous. In the face-to-face classroom, we have the physical classroom, field trip, lab, and the web 2.0. In live online learning, we have a virtual classroom like this, a webinar like this, and then we have coaching here, coaching and mentoring, collaboration community. We have for the site, blog, wiki, chat, and so on. In using multimedia in asynchronous or on demand, we have video streaming, podcast, CD-ROM, and then web-based learning, internet or intranet, self-paced tutorial, stimulation game, and so on. And the last is uh, a performance support here, knowledge management workflow, performance support, and mobile wireless. Okay, so the last one is the key concept that will help us to understand the learning in digital area. understanding the learning in digital area, we have some OGI. OGI I underline here. So the first is Kitagogi. We have pedagogy or paragogy and then cybergogy. Kitagogy here is a concept developed in 2000 by Stewart Hayes, refers to the study of self-determined learning. This is approach focus on the role of online instructor as a coach, a mentor or facilitator, and further encourage learner to become more self-directed. And then the pedagogy or paragogy is be able to use the digital tool to construct knowledge and connect with each other. In this case, they are not mere teacher or learner, but are rather to co-creating together in the society, active and continuous process. And then the cybergogy right now is the two items, cyber in internet. In this case, it's allowed the learner to engage in learning through the three main domains, including cognitive, emotive, and social aspect. This is the ecology of digital age learning. Just now I explained it. We have the ecology should has the sense of community, essential question, captivating digital content, assessment for learning, engaging instructional strategy, supportive classroom environment, difference and flexibility, and then multiple technology tools. This is the characteristic of ecosystem in digital age learning. So this is just in short, in brief, that Hutagogi is encourage learner to become more self-directed, and then pedagogy is focused on co-learning and co-creating, and the cybergogy is encourage learner engagement in an online environment. A brief comparison here between the three components, pedagogy, andragogy, and cybergogy. So the question number one for the pedagogy, that what's the pedagogy? Pedagogy, children learning. The element here is guided by instructor. Teacher do evaluation and standardized curriculum set by societal needs. And then why pedagogy? For acquisition of knowledge or occupational purposes, open the gradations. And then the methods here, teaching step, we have preparation, we have lecturing or information sharing, practice, assignment, assessment, and repetition of tasks or subject revision. And then andragogy is adult learning. The element here, independent study and self-evaluation. We use the andragogy because for self-actualization of self-confidence. And then the methods here, the problem solving, discussion, meeting, and conferences. And then let's come in cybergogy. Cybergogy is online learning. The element here, using tool connected to the culture of computer technology and internet. Curriculum is flexible, set by the learner. And then why we use the cybergogy? Because the quick approach to the data source, pressure of high learning assignment, and then the methods here, information search, cybersecurity measure, report or writing by using word processor, spreadsheet, and then database application of the computer. Uh, this is just a brief. I think just now the previous slide I explained about this. So choose our way. We are in the we want to choose the education 1.0 or 2.0 or 3.0 or in the 4.0. We are in the 1.0. We emphasize that lecture and memorizing, and then in the 2.0 internet able learning, and then in the 3.0 knowledge production education, and 4.0 innovative production education. Learner as a connector creator, learner as a content processor, learner as a teacher, the web as the curriculum, diversity of network, access to expert learner as a connector maker, open access to information. The last one is here some best practice during and post pandemic COVID-19 in Universitas Muhammadiyah Sidenreng Rappang. In Muhammadiyah in Rappang, we have 6 faculty, graduate faculty of teacher training and education, social science, and politics, science and technology faculty, economy and business, and health. Some very popular platform here. Some of the student and lecturer use at Moodle, and then email, Facebook, Zipgrade, Schoology, and also Flickr and Versal, and also Moodle in our campus during, and then until right now we use this one. And then some of our lecturer and then student also follow this platform in the future learn to sharpen their ability in some learning. This is the same that I joined in and enrolled in Monash University Introduction to Psychology and Psychology of Learning. And then this is just this the show to show you that we use the application, the platform of Schoology for LMS learning management system. And then also we have in our university we have Coursera. I think Coursera have joined and then make the collaboration also with some university like this. Some of our lecturer joined, and then also our student during the pandemic, and then post the pandemic right now. And then we have also the e-learning in WMS Rappang. And then we use also some platform like Telegram, Camtasia Studio, if because sometimes our student difficult in find a good connection in internet, and then using and then some of the student couldn't doesn't have a good device. So most of the teacher or lecturer here just record their lecture through Camtasia, and then they upload it in YouTube, and then they send the link to the student to learn our presentation. And then we have a chat, WhatsApp group chat, and then Facebook. And then some of our lecturer join also in some website that prepare free webinar like this, edweb.net. That is in this website have a thousand webinar that can easy to join. We just watch the video from to 40 minutes to 1 hour, then we will get the certificate like this. And then also in Research Academy Elsevier, some of our lecturer and student join this one. And then after and then we learned much about the how to do the publication in Elsevier, in the good publication maybe. And then after join the class, we got the certificate like this. And then also this is like some just a view a certificate that our lecturer and our student in Coursera, like me in University of Colorado in blended learning and design practice for teacher. And then some TEFL certified here. Think this is some best practice. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bapak Andi Asrifan. for your presentation, for your very well informative presentation, Bapa. You mentioned so many strategies and also how your
Thank you.
university handle this. You mentioned as well about the pedagogical, about the Bloom's taxonomy, and also you share some application that how are we gonna if our university applying this Bloom's taxonomy. You shared us also the application where we can use it, and also you shared us in your presentation that how your university do this handle this pandemic, and also there are a lot of approaches or strategy you mentioned about the
Thank you.
pedagogy, cybergogy, and I guess it really can help on how to be applying this make or innovate the you shared us
Yes.
also the application where we again thank you so much, Bapa,
Thank
for
you.
your presentation. And now
Thank you.
we will proceed to our next presenter. We have here, he's a faculty member of the College of Social Sciences and Development of the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Mr. Richard M. Campos. Sir Richard, you may start your presentation.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. So, how are you, ladies and gentlemen? So, to Ibu Lili Nurlaili, Education and Culture Attaché of the Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia here in Manila, Philippines, for inviting me once again to this kind of endeavor and the opportunity to share my knowledge. Terima kasih. I can remember when I visited Bandung last October. It was like Baguio. The weather there is good. The people are so good, and I believe that today we can able to exchange ideas through the strategies in blended learning. I hope once again, to those Indonesian people who are registered here, you may come here in the Philippines and visit the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. And to other distinguished speakers, thank you for being part of this webinar. To all participants in this webinar, to my alma mater, parang high school and parang elementary school faculty teachers, to faculty members, good morning everyone. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Salamat pagi. And I'll be discussing today the strategic planning on blended learning methodologies. Okay, so I'll be discussing now the topics to be discussed. Okay, so let's have this one. There are 7 topics to be discussed. First is the rationale for blended learning. By the way, I have provided translation so that our Indonesian friends can able to understand it very well. Second is definition of blended learning, goals of blended learning, benefits of blended learning to stakeholders, delivery of technology, various modalities in the implementation of blended learning, and our Polytechnic University of the Philippines FlexTel. Okay, next. So, okay. The emergence of COVID-19 pandemic brought unprecedented disruptions in the lives of people all over the world. It came so unexpectedly where no one was ready enough to brace its impact to society. As I'm speaking today, as of this moment, there are reported 70,000 cases of COVID-19 here in the Philippines. We are the number 2 in the whole ASEAN. And as I can say, no one is exempted to this pandemic. As I can remember, in the first week of March, it was the series of suspension of classes because of the first report cases of the COVID-19. But then it was last March 15 or March 16 when our president has declared total lockdown all over the Philippines. And as of today, we are still in the community quarantine, general community quarantine here in Metro Manila, Philippines. And as we accept the fact that the education is affected, but this pandemic should not stop nor hamper our desire for learning. In Philippines, in particular, we face a critical situation due to the rise of said health crisis. For higher education institutions, avoiding and limiting the risk of infection of the academic community has become a primordial concern. Hence, with the implementation of community quarantine, conduct of classes need to be adjusted. And the Herculean challenge here is how to continue teaching and learning beyond the usual face-to-face instruction. As what the previous speaker has said, the show must go on, as we commonly say. The education should not stop, and the education must continue no matter what happens. Because one of the important things that we have learned in this pandemic, education is one of the prime concern of our humanity. How can we solve this problem if we are not being educated? And as we all know, that classes are not limited to face-to-face learning, the actual classroom setup. But then we need to adopt to a particular change to this COVID-19 pandemic, wherein we need to be safe, our teachers need to be safe, as well as our students, wherein there's no risk of infecting one another. Okay, and the paradigm shift, therefore, in the teaching and learning process in the Philippine higher education necessitates collaboration among stakeholders and strengthening the culture of sharing of knowledge, resources, and best practices. Everyone is called to be a part of the transition and transformation towards the new normal. To be honest, as I do research, the Philippines rank 101 among 179 countries all over the world in terms of internet connection. We have 19.51 Mbps, which is lower than the global average of 57.91. And as I also do research, in Indonesia, it ranked 118 out of 139, having 10.51 Mbps. So what does it mean? This research conducted by UCLA and speed test truly show the current situation of our internet connectivity, as well we are trying to be flexible, yet the connectivity does not allow us to be connected to one another. So that's the thing. We need to have blended learning. And as we all know that this blended learning is not limited to online. But before that, let's define first online learning. Okay. So we have the the definition of the online learning is the design and delivery of programs, courses, and learning interventions that addresses learners' unique needs in terms of place, pace, process, and products of learning. It involves the use of digital and non-digital technology. So what does it mean? This flexible learning or blended learning will entail and will empower those students who are financially incapacitated or challenged, so that can be able to study continuously. No? So it ensures the continuity of inclusive and accessible education when the use of traditional models of teaching is not feasible, and as in the occurrence of national emergencies. With the recent news, it's very sad to say that in the Philippines, there are a lot of teachers who are still going to the top of the mountains just to get the signal of internet. And it's a pity to say that all of us teachers here in the Philippines should be technologically equipped. Well, in fact, the internet connection does not permit to have connection. So I got no sense of promoting an online learning if the internet connection is very slow. And this internet connection is, as the previous speaker said, will be a basic right by the year 2024. So how can we study about this? No? And in the definition of, next please, in the definition of flexible learning by Simeo, is a pedagogical approach allowing flexibility of time, place, and audience, including but not solely focused on the use of technology. Hello, to those who are asking, how about those students who don't have computers, iPods, laptops, who don't have those pocket Wi-Fis? How about them? Will they stop schooling? The answer should be no. Because the answer here is blended learning or flexible learning. In the Philippines, we are striving to have an online platform. Yet, not everyone is equipped. Not everyone is prepared. Yes, to be honest, the teachers here in our country have the scarcity of resources when it comes to laptops, internet connection, desktops. So how can we provide learning to our students? Our resources are scarce. No? So next, please. We have the goals of blended learning. The first should be learning centered. Okay. In the normal face-to-face classroom, we have this motivation, good morning class, this activity, and so on and so forth. As of now, in the blended learning, everything should be compressed. It should not be after for any goal, but for the 4 goals of learning. The first is learning centered. The student experience must be the engaged or the primordial concern. In this context, blended learning is personalized, flexible, and adaptive for all students across all campuses, for all modes of study. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know that different types of students, different types of personality, different types of levels of intelligence. But the issue here is the goal of blended learning should be learning-centered. It should focus on modifying the weakness and strengthening the strengths of every student. No? So next. It should be standards-based. In practice, this means that all learning delivered in blended and online mode meets a set of standards prescribed by the Ed for higher education and DepEd or Department of Education for the high school level. Now, everything should be organized. Everything should be systematic. And it should always follow a standard or a format. That's why I believe all of the higher education teachers are currently doing their modules as prescribed by the Ed and as well as in high school by the Department of Education. We should follow a common format. And I believe that format matters. Why? This format will allow unity, uniformity, and systemic analysis of those outline topics in the modules of the students. So next. Constructively align. The goal of blended learning in practice, this means that the learning is designed to align student learning needs with the discipline-specific pedagogy and teaching and learning in physical and virtual learning spaces to support students' achievement outcomes. So it means that the module or the blended learning way or strategy of the institution should include rooms for improvement by the stakeholders. No? So it means we should always align the blended learning with the goal of developing the learning competencies of the students. It's not a merely compliance or just for submission, but rather it will empower or constructively align the strength and more learner. Okay, how can we implement blended learning if we have laboratory subjects? That's the question. No? Is it hard? Yes. But here in our situation right now, the teacher or the facilitator should provide actual videos for that without the expense of the student. They should share virtually, no, everything, all of the instructions, which are step by step, and the curriculum. I believe it undergoes series of evaluation and revision. It should always be career focused, no? As we all know that we are already in a 2020 era. Not all of us are still knowledgeable when it comes to technology. This is not compulsory, but it's a way of introducing already the new normal to our students. Okay, next. What are the benefits to stakeholders of blended learning? For the learners, it improves student learning outcomes. It enriches the student on campus experience and extends off-campus social learning opportunities. Improves capacity of graduate attributes to be realized. Improves graduate preparation for employment through the development of digital literacies and independent learning skills. In this pandemic, in this blended learning strategy, the primordial concern should be the welfare of the learners. There should be no student who cannot study because of the difficulty in the internet connectivity. Blended learning does not mean online. Blended learning does not mean all of us should be together at the same time or synchronous. Rather, this blended learning from the word itself is blended. It's a mixture. It's a composition of different strategies on how can we apply different techniques to the different types of students. Next. For the teachers, I believe teachers in the Philippines, both in the Philippines and Indonesia, this is a challenge for us. How can we provide blended learning to our students? As what Dr. Lili has said a while ago, it's a challenge for us. This is not the normal for us, but we cannot do anything about it, but to understand that this is already the new normal. No? All of us are having difficulty or having a hard time in providing blended learning, no? So we should able to develop a stronger collegial environment through sharing and reuse of blended learning materials. Among the teachers, it's a good environment to provide and exchange ideas, because we should work hand in hand, no? This teacher and this teacher should be in synchrony, no? In providing the topic. Not the first is faster and the other one is slower in delivering the topic, but then there should be in harmony so that students will feel that they are as one in learning the material, and enables through learning analytics early identification of students at risk academically. I believe that this blended learning is still a challenge for everyone. This is not a unique problem to Filipinos and Indonesians, but rather this is a challenge for every academician or facilitator of learning in the whole world. This is a challenge for us that we should accept as the new normal. Okay, next, ma'am. And for a university or institution, it improves institutions' capacity to accommodate student diversity, makes optimal use of physical and virtual resources enables cost-effective delivery of quality education. Okay. In the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, being the largest state university in the Philippines and having a student population of 70,000 nationwide, honestly, we are having a hard time to push through an online learning because our students are those are financially challenged, and then the resources are not enough. That's why this blended learning will surely benefit all of the university or institutions by the means of exhausting all the resources, not only online means. Okay, next. Delivery of technology. I have categorized technology into three: the high level, medium level, and the low level technology. For the high level technology, the devices available for that are laptops, mobile phones, tablets, and desktops. And it requires fast internet connectivity. The level of digital literacy should be proficient. What is the approach for that? Online learning or blended learning technology. This high-level technology requires somehow expensive or costly materials, but not everyone can afford. So we have this medium-level technology, mostly with our available phones, smartphones, but the internet connectivity is slow. No? So what can we do for that? Macro and micro learning approach or a mixture of online and offline activities. And now we have the low level technology, some mobile phones or no technology, poor or no internet connection. The level of digital literacy is beginner and self-instructional module. Now, the question is, are all the teachers ready for this? The answer is no. Some may be prepared, some may be not. But let's accept the fact that we are moving as one. We are as one community. So there should be an individual left behind. Teachers, facilitators, we should able to work together. What's your expertise should be shared with another. And what's my expertise will be shared to other also. This should be an environment of collaboration and cooperation first among the teachers. How can we provide blended learning if the teachers themselves cannot provide blended learning among themselves? Okay, next. Various modalities in the implementation of blended learning. The first is technology. I have divided modalities in the implementation of blended learning into three: the offline, the blended, and the online. Offline requires no technology. Online requires full technology, while blended is a mixture of offline and online activities. For the technology, for the offline, we have the printed modules, audio tapes, video tapes, CDs, and learning packets, television, and learning management system, which is portable. In our university, we have this online platform, no, in our SIS accounts, wherein the teachers can able to upload files or modules to which the students can easily access it at their own convenience. No? While the online requires computer, laptop, smartphone, and learning packets and LMS, while the blended learning requires desktop computer, laptop, and smartphone also. If virtual, okay, LMS, printed modules, and learning management system. As what I've heard to Ibu Lili a while ago, in Indonesia, face-to-face classes are already done right now with a minimum of 10, or sorry, a maximum of 10 students per classroom with social distancing. In our university, we will be opening the classes on September 14, while for the Department of Education, it will be on August 24. But now the question is, are we prepared? Whether offline, blended, or online, the question is the preparation. Are the preparations enough? I believe that the pandemic is not an excuse to continue learning, but I believe that during the community quarantine in the Philippines, we are being under house arrest. We cannot do anything about it. We cannot think. We cannot do anything to resolve this problem. But then last June, teachers are being required to report on work. June, July, August, 2 months of preparation. I believe it's very short. And as an academician, I believe we should have more time. No? That's why there are various groups in the Philippines who are pursuing or suggesting for academic freeze. But whatever mode of learning it is, learning must continue. The show must go on. Because this education should not stop with this pandemic, but rather it will help us develop more researches, more innovations, and to give us more strength to face the challenges of life. Next, please. Now, we have the learning objectives. In the learning objectives, we will I'll be sharing with you okay printed or electronic
In this video, I'm going
modules, learning modules, materials, and for the electronic modules also for the online, the use of digital platforms of the LMS. Now, the question here is, can we provide? I believe yes. In the Filipino saying, if there's a will, there's a way. Pag gusto, may paraan. If I believe as teachers, it requires us more flexibility, more creativity, and more adaptivity to different types of challenges we're facing right now. We're being paid less, but we need to do more. And that's the fact. And that's the new normal. Okay, next. Evaluation assessment. In the evaluation assessment, we can be proctored non-conventional assessment, performance-based assessment, project-based assessment, or assessment of rubrics. There is an article that I have read yesterday. How can the evaluation of the students be done if the classes will start on August? Automatic pass, just submit the module, just submit the requirements. It's not an assurance, but if you have submitted your requirements, you will pass. Of course, there should be quality over quantity. And that's the challenge for us teachers. How can we prepare an assessment tool or rubric tool that will assess the learning competencies of our students without compromising their financial or economic capabilities? Next. In preparation for the September 14, 2020 opening of classes, the PUP or the Polytechnic University of the Philippines has proposed the FlexTel. And what is this FlexTel? Flexible Technology Enhanced Learning. Hashtag no student left behind. Despite of the economic challenges, I believe that majority of us experience financial challenges financial constraints. That's why we have difficulty in providing technology. And this FlexTel has three components: face-to-face learning, online learning, digital, and off-grid. When it comes to face-to-face learning, okay, if, next ma'am, if the community quarantine will be lifted already, I believe in the soonest time, no, there will be physical distancing, health and hygiene measures, shortened number of days, a smaller number of students in classroom. Now, when this will happen, I don't know. The government only knows, because we are still following the interagency task force guidelines when it comes to providing mass gathering, no? Not all institutions are prepared or ready for the face-to-face learning. First risk, the teacher's health. Second, the student's health. In our university, we are very lucky that our classroom can accommodate 40 to 50. But how about the others? How about our public schools? Can they accommodate more number of students? That is a challenge for us. And I believe all of us should pray, no, that this pandemic will stop. Online learning, it can be synchronous or asynchronous. Asynchronous is a learning module system or management system wherein the student will see a series of modules or lessons in an online learning platform, just like the Schoology, no, Google Meet. And synchronous is an online synchronized real-time meeting of students. Just like here in Zoom, we are dealing with each other personally, no? Real-time. Okay, next. And digital and off-grid. I believe this is the pilot project of our university, digital and off-grid learning, wherein the students will be receiving instructional materials into their homes. It is one way of providing the best government resource to our students. Teachers right now are busy writing their modules, and it will be published in the school or university. And those students who are financially challenged will receive instructional materials for free. And this will ensure that learning is continuous. Okay? In this time of pandemic, given the onset of global COVID-19 pandemic, it is very relevant to address challenges it brought to higher education by mobilizing higher educations as one team. And thank you for the Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia through Dr. Lili Nurlaili for having us sharing of opinions and thoughts regarding this for the purpose of sustaining learning and teaching. This will generate synergies of action from among them, despite being differently situated, and to co-create and innovate in order to align with demands of the new normal. Again, maraming salamat po. Terima kasih. Hashtag we learn as one. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sir Richard, for sharing your presentation. Actually, sir, additional information, and correct me if I'm wrong from the Indonesian side. In Indonesia, sir, they have this zoning. So they have this red zone, orange, red, and yellow. So there are some schools that who belong in the green zone, so they are allowed to do this face-to-face learning. But for the red zone, especially the red zone, it's the place where it's really not allowed for the student learning. So again, thank you so much, sir, for your presentation po. And based on your presentation, we all know that Indonesia and Philippines facing the same problems. For example, this connectivity, because as we all know, there are still a lot of students and also even schools who are lack in the facility and technology. And also it's for the technology itself, it's not every student have cell phones. So it's really one of the biggest problem in Indonesia and also in the Philippines. And thank you so much, sir, for sharing this for sharing
Thank you.
ideas of the benefit of this blended learning. We do hope with the ideas that you give in the presentation, it can be make motivation to the teachers, students, and also institution, especially during this pandemic. Thank you so much, Sir Richard. And now we will proceed to our next speaker. Our next speaker is a Mr. Adi F. Mahmud. To Mr. Adi, you may start your presentation.
Could you say my slide?
Yes, sir. Do you want us to help you operate your slide? Are you gonna operate it, sir, or do you want us to help you?
I have sent to
Okay,
operator
okay, we will
for my
operate
slide.
the presentation from here then.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I say good afternoon because in North Maluku, actually, we have Juhur time, of course. So I myself is a closing speaker. It means the fourth speaker for this webinar. Actually, I want to make my presentation is very simple, and actually, I don't give a lot of things about the theoretical of blended learning itself, because for the first, the second, and the third speaker, they have explained a lot of things about the theory of how to apply blended learning in teaching and learning process during pandemic and post-pandemic. That's right. Okay, actually, Dr. Lili and Mr. Andi and also Mr. Richard, they have explained a lot of things about what actually use technology in teaching and learning process in the classroom during pandemic or COVID-19 and post-pandemic or COVID-19. Actually, I would like to see another perspective of, so please go back to the first slide.
I'm sorry, sir. You're still mute. Maaf, Bapak. Masih mute. Okay, I guess we have a technical problem here with the connectivity of Bapak Adi. We're asking for your kind consideration to please wait for a while.
Hear me?
Okay, Bapak, okay.
Okay, one quotation that I would like to say, according to the Berry, that if you want to change to improve our students' learning achievement, of course, we should focus about what actually the method or methodology that should be applied by the teachers. When we see in the first speaker, they have explained a lot of things that blended learning is one of the way or what is the strategy to how to apply when we teach in the classroom. Of course, teachers methodology or teacher way of teaching in the classroom is the one of the crucial part in improving our students' ability or improving our students' learning achievement. So I think talking about learning or learning methodology is a very crucial part for the teachers who will teach the students in the classroom, or it will be teach students in online or virtual class. Next slide. Okay, I want to see another perspective of how to make sure how to choose our teaching methodology in the classroom. Three speakers, they have explained about how to use technology in teaching in pandemic situation, and how to use technology in every era of education. It's like Mr. Andi said that in the first era, second, and the fourth era, the education have developed from traditional to a digital era or digital aspect. So that's why I want to see another perspective of how to consider if the teacher of, if you are a teacher, you want to apply or you want to design one of the teaching model or teaching strategy to apply in your students or apply in the classroom. First of all, learning process in the classroom, or it will be online class. So psychological development of the students, it should be one consideration. Why? Because the teachers should know who you will teach and in what level the students are and how many years your students in. So because each way or strategy of teaching it is not appropriate for all level of the students. So the teacher should be pay attention about the psychological development of the students. This is about the psychological aspect. Because, for example, if elementary students, you know, in the elementary students, you want to teach students from elementary school and you want to apply for example, comparative learning, or you want to apply at the digitals, like a digital era right now, some of the students, it will be difficult to participate or to join your class because the level of development, the psychological level is not appropriate or is not suitable. The first. And the second is about the student characteristic. You know, maybe Indonesia and Philippines is a difference. Indonesia, you know, in Java, in Sulawesi, in North Maluku, we have a different characteristic of the students. We have a different ethnic, we have a different culture, we have a different local culture, we have a different languages. So students' characteristic is one of the considerations of the teachers should to pay attention when we want to make sure, or if you want to design a teaching strategy to apply in your class or classroom. And the second point is about teaching materials. Of course, teaching materials is one of the points that we should pay attention, because each materials of teaching, it will be a different characteristic. For example, if I teach reading skill to the students, of course, it's very different materials when I teach writing students. So teaching materials is one of the consideration that should pay attention as a teacher if you want to design or if you want to apply teaching and learning process in the classroom. And the last point is about the consideration is about facilities. Indonesia is a country that there are a lot of remote area. So facilities sometimes is very difficult for the students to access online class, to access the virtual class. So facilities should be pay attention or should be considered for the teacher to apply or to design teaching learning in pandemic situation. So for both or for fourth a consideration that I have presented, that actually blended learning is a very suitable strategy to apply, because blended learning is not only talk about online or virtual class, but blended learning is how to mix both of traditional and online or a digital strategy. So in some part, we cannot apply online class, you know, such as in North Maluku. We have got many problems to apply online class. That's why blended learning is one of the strategy or the way that is very suitable for the teacher to apply in this situation or in COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next is talk about, I have explained or have spoke before that a blended learning is one of the suitable strategy or methodology to apply in teaching in this situation or in pandemic situation. Actually, the definition or what actually the theory of blended learning have presented by Dr. Lili and also Prof. Richard. So I just want to share about or a little bit or talk about a little bit about what is blended learning itself. So we talk about blended learning. So we talk about two kinds of strategy. The first is about the traditional strategy. The second is about digital strategy. What I mean about traditional strategy, I mean traditional strategy, it's about, we talk about face-to-face learning. Face-to-face learning is about traditional strategy. For example, when you come to the classroom and we say, everyone, or please the students open your book on the chapter 1 and the chapter 2 or the chapter 3 and read the instruction and so on and so on. This is about the face-to-face learning. But sometimes we can change. We can say to the students, please click the link below and follow the instruction. So we talk about online learning. So face-to-face learning and online learning is a mix or combine both of them strategy, and we call it is blended learning. That's why I think blended learning is a face-to-face learning and online learning. So it has presented by Mr. Richard and Dr. Lili before. It's very clear about that. Next slide. Yeah, it has traditional learning and online learning. So actually, you know, in our institution or North Maluku, we have implemented on blended learning in our institution or university. We explain or we apply blended learning to teach, or we have explained in our institution, and we have done it and running well right now. But we get some problem for this situation or for this problem. I will explain the next slide. Go to the next slide. Yep. If you talk about blended learning, actually, if you go to the Google and you can find some international journal, you can find a lot of previous studies about blended learning. You can find a lot of paper or article published by researcher, by a scholar, by teachers in related to blended learnings, such as Borland and Lodge 2014. They have done research about blended learning, and also about Ginaya et al. 2018. They apply blended learning into effect, or blended learning to students, or improve the students' speaking ability. So it's both of the examples of a previous study of blended learning, but there are a lot of previous studies related to blended learning itself. Come to slide, next slide. Okay, actually, each model or each strategy or each method, they have advantage and they have a disadvantage. Or teaching method or teaching methodology, we can say method A and method B, it will be, they have a different things or different, it will be a different situation, it will be a different method or different strategy. I mean, not all teaching strategy, it will be applying in the same situation in the same students, or not all this teaching strategy we can apply is this the different students. Of course, a different method, a different students, it will be a different impact or different effect to students. So blended learning also, they have disadvantage and also advantage. So the three speaker, they have talked about what actually the disadvantage of this blended learning itself. But I would like to see a little bit about what actually the advantage and disadvantage. Some of the advantage has explained by the speakers before, but I want to see the another kinds of advantage and disadvantage of blended learning. Next slide, please. Okay, this is about advantages of blended learning. Firstly, one of the advantage of blended learning is about larger groups. Of course, if we are going to apply blended learning, it's easy for us or easy for teacher to how to manage the large group or the large students to join or participate in your classroom. So I think this is a very good for the teacher or for the lecturer in university. We can use in this situation or in this condition, I mean COVID-19, during COVID-19 pandemic and also post-baby, we can apply because blended learning is one of the largest, can manage large group in learning situation. And the second advantage is about set your own pace. Of course, blended learning, it doesn't mean you will learning together, you the same time, is your same place. So the students or the teacher can set your own pace. You know, you can set your own pace, you can save your time, you can, if you are the faster students, you can join the class. If you are the lower students, you can join the class. It's possible for you, because blended learning, it doesn't mean you should learning together in the same time, in the same place, but you can learn in the different place and the different time. Next is reduction in the cost. Of course, in some cases, blended learning, we don't use any kinds of instructor, any kinds of classroom, because we can apply in online class. We can useful in any kinds of places. So we can manage our course, we can manage our classroom, or we don't need to looking for many instructor of apply blended learning. And the last is about fun. Of course, some of the students will feel fun to apply blended learning, because sometimes they can connect each other, they can share each other in online class, and also they also can face-to-face to another students or another friends in teaching and learning process. It's about the advantages of blended learning. Next. But in other kinds of disadvantages of blended learnings, what I have explained before, not all teaching strategy is very suitable for all situation or all condition, all level of the students, all age the students. But blended learning also have low or disadvantages. First, we can see about lack of motivations. Why I say the blended learning can miss some motivation of the students. You know, some of the students, when they sitting in front of the screen in a long time, they will be bored, they will be feel lazy, and so on. So it will make them motivation, it will be low. So one of the disadvantages of blended learning is about lack of motivation of the students. And the second disadvantages of this blended learning itself is about basic technology knowledge. Of course, if we want to apply blended learning, we need the students, they have a basic technology knowledge. Minimum, they can operate laptop, smartphone, or another kinds of technology. If not, the students will be difficult or will be hard to join or to participate in our classroom. In this case, about blended, or in this case, about virtual or online class. So basic technology knowledge, it should be have this owned by the students to join our blended class or online class. And the next or the last disadvantages is about plagiarism and credibility problem. Yeah, you know, this technology era, of course, sometimes plagiarism is one of the problem in many cases. In the cases of writing a paper and produce and then many kinds of assignment and so on. So sometimes the students, they don't want to think more about how to find out the assignment or how to make the assignment, but they just want looking for the Google and they want to copy paste and they just want to change a little bit and they will be collect to the lecture or to be their assignment. So that is about the plagiarism problem in blended learning. The case is about online or online class or virtual class. Next slide. Okay, I want to share about to you that during the situation or the COVID-19 happened in Indonesia, of course, Muhammadiyah University, we use some online media to use in our teaching and learning process. The first online media that our university that we have used is about Zoom meeting, Google Class, Yahoo, Gmail, WhatsApp, and YouTube. So Those are the media that we have used in Muhammadiyah University. Besides, we have a learning, or we have facilities inside of the university, but we cannot use all of the e-learning media or e-learning facilities in university, because most or all of the lecturers we have work from home. So we stay at home, we cannot go to university. So we use the media is about a Zoom meeting, Google Class, Yahoo, Gmail, WhatsApp, and YouTube. Next. Okay, this is about universities policies. Our universities or Muhammadiyah universities, we have some policies that firstly, work from home. Of course, all the staffs at university and all lecturers, we work from home. Okay, and the second policy is all learning activities done through virtual or online class. But right now, I have got information from our leaders or rector. On September, maybe Muhammadiyah University will be opened face-to-face, or the students will allow to come at campus and will learn in the classroom. So we pray together that pandemic, it will be go far from Indonesia or Philippines. So we will meet our students face-to-face anymore. So this is about the policy of our university. So working from home, everyone working from home, and all learners learning activities done through virtual online or online class. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, when we are when we applied blended learning in teaching and learning activity at Muhammadiyah University, actually, this is about the sharing here. This is about the sharing. We face many problems. We face many problems when we apply blended learning. In this case, it's about online or virtual class. What the kinds of problem that faced by Muhammadiyah University of North Maluku? Next. Yeah. The first I would like to talk about the problem is about North Maluku geographies. You know, in North Maluku, we have 76% North Maluku region is oceanic, you know. If we want to go to one place to another place, we should be go cross by ship, by boat, or by ferry, because we have 76% North Maluku region is oceanic. It is about a problem. The second problem is North Maluku is an island territory, and we are islands. We have many islands in North Maluku. For example, right now, my university are in Ternate City. Ternate City is only one island that if I want to go to another district or another island, I should cross by ship, by boat, or by ferry. So I should be across on the sea. No transportation by like car, like a motorcycle, but we should be crossed by ship because we are islands, or North Maluku is island territory. Of course, what is the related with our teaching and learning process in the classroom? You know, all the students, they spread in many area of North Maluku. That's why we have when COVID-19 happened in Indonesia, and the policy from university that the students cannot come to campus to learn in the classroom, but we learn by online class. All the students, or 19% of students, they go back their village. So the problem when they go to their village, it's about the geographies of North Maluku province. Next slide. Students' problem. Yeah, when we apply blended learning, in this case is online, You know, what is the students' problem faced by Muhammadiyah University of North Maluku? About 75% students are from remote area. You know, the 75% students are from remote area. They have no internet access. Some part, they have no electrical access. So they have no signal, they have no internet access. So it's a very difficult for the lecturers if you want to apply online class to the students when they have moved or they have go back to their village or their own town. And the second is about 90% students from Muhammadiyah University are low economical background. Of course, this is a very problem for the university to apply online class. Because why? Because some of the students, they have no smartphone, they have no laptop. So it's very hard for the teachers when we are going to apply blended learning or online class to the students. Because we have 90% they have coming from low economical background. Some students, they have no smartphone. Yeah, this is my experience when I teach an online class. Some of my students, they say, "Sir, I have no smartphone. Sir, I have no laptop." So how to learn in online class if you have no smartphone, if you have no laptop? So it's very difficult for us to apply online class in Muhammadiyah University because the students' problem, 75 students are from remote area, 90% students low economical background, and some students have not smartphone and laptop. Next. And the next is about internet and electrical problem. You know, in North Maluku, because we are Eastern Indonesia, in some district or some part, they have no electrical network, or electrical network have not been evenly distributed through the region. It's like some part in Taliabu, some part of in South Halmahera Selatan or South Halmahera, some part in Halmahera Barat or West Halmahera. They have no electrical network distributed. And the second, they have no internet access or internet network distributed in all regions. Yeah, this is the problem about internet and electrical problem when we apply online or online class or virtual class. But I think this is only sharing about the experience that what we have done in university and actually what we have got as the problem faced in this situation. Okay, I think that's all for my presentation, and I go back to moderator. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Bapak Adi Mahmud, for your presentation. Yes, as mentioned by the speakers a while ago, that we really have many challenges or problems, especially in this education pandemic. Some considerations on choosing how to use the learning method. You mentioned that first you have to consider the psychological development, and also you have to consider as well the student's characteristic and also the teaching materials. As you mentioned, that we are same in Philippines and Indonesia. Teaching materials is a little bit problem as well, and also the facilities. You mentioned also in your presentation that there are some problems in terms of electricity in your area. And also, thank you, Bapak, for sharing your what you are facing now in northern Maluku. Thank you so much, Bapak. Again, we would like to say thank you to all the speakers, from Ibu Lili Nurlaili to the next Bapak Andi Asrifan, to Sir Richard, and also Sir Adi. Thank you so much for your presentation and sharing your ideas and knowledge about this in this our webinar. And now we have here, and we proceed to our next program, which is the question and answer. Some of the questions already answered by the speakers via chat, and still here we have still some questions, and I address to the speakers. So in the presentation, you mentioned about it's really difficult using this online learning because some of the characteristic of the students. So our participant here, Bapak Pansianus Astenmanek, and also I'm sure other teacher as well, would like to know, do you have some ideas or tricks or strategy on how to handle this lazy students, or maybe some students that's difficult to teach, especially via online? How do you handle this kind of students? Do you have any tips? Yes, Sir Richard.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First, all of us experience this COVID-19 pandemic, and it's what do you call this? It's very outrageous and unexpected, and it caused us a cabin fever, wherein all of us tend to have this lazy feeling, lonely feeling, or somehow alone feeling of being left behind. In common terms, it's in Filipino, it's nalulungkot palagi, no? So having a lazy student could be one of the problems in blended learning or online learning. Yes, because not all of them will participate honestly and truthfully. But as we all know, we cannot do anything about it. But during online learning, just like this, in online learning, as teachers should provide tricky questions, critical questions to take the idea of the students, if they are still listening, or if they are still living on that webinar or on that online learning. We should give trivias, quick questions if they are offline, no? Or no picture, muted, so we can able to know if they're still participating. But if it's on blended learning, it's very hard for us teachers to know if they are truly participating or just letting the parents to answer the modules. It can be one of the problems if they are the ones who are answering it. But then again, the solution for that is blended learning. Here's the material, take home, and we will be meeting online. So I will ask random questions if you truly understand, if you truly study the material. And that's one of the strategy to prevent laziness and not participating of the students.
Thank you so much, sir. Bapak Adi and Bapak Andi, do you want to add something?
Okay, I try to answer the question from Pansinusis, right?
Yes.
Okay. Me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Okay, actually, the question is about how to handle this, how to apply blended learning, and how to handle the students in SLG studies, is right? Yeah, actually, this is one of the characteristics that we can find, all teacher can find in our class some of the students or 1 or 2 students, it will be lazy students, right? Okay. Actually, blended learning is we have to mix strategy. We mix face-to-face as learning and also online learning. So, but maybe in pandemic right now, we cannot face-to-face this learning because the government's policy, we can still close our university, or we cannot go to work or learning in the classroom. That's why actually virtual is one of the solutions in COVID-19 situation. So what is the solutions? Actually, as a teacher, of course, the teachers, we should many innovations. Innovation is not only how to create methodology, but also the innovation is how to create our teaching materials. It's like Prof. Richards explained before. The teachers should have a creativity and innovation, how to design teaching materials. So in order to push the students, they like or not, they have motivation or not motivation, they should do that materials. So it depends on the teachers how to design teaching and learning materials, and how to design teaching and learning media to apply for the students in online situation or online class. So because there is no another way, because if your teachers stay at home and the students stay in their home, so we have a different places, or sometimes we cannot control the students. They can give explanation or follow our class about. Sometimes it's hard for the teacher to control all the students. But if we have a creativity to how to design our teaching and teaching materials, and how to design our media for the students, so it will be make the students pay attention or join the class, or they will study hard, because this is about my experience. A lot of students like. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Uh, there are additional answer response from me. Can I?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I have respond some question in question answer box just now. I think I have answered 3 or 4 questions, but I just emphasize that because some of uh, participant asks about how could we implement the blended learning in elementary school. I think it could, because first, if you look like the characteristic of a student in 2020 sitting, who are sitting and enroll in elementary school, is they are in alpha generation of children, or born in the millennial generation, or Gen Y or W. So I think just now in my slide I explained that that this generation is also called 21st century generation, with the future the future very familiar with technology, and far from and far more educated. And the second response is learning in elementary with holistic approach to teacher not only measure learning outcome in the realm of knowledge, but also need to improve their skill and attitude of student. And the last is the use of technology in learning in elementary school is very possible, I think, because blended learning in online meeting can be read through device that are related to all students. This is the same practice in my region, Sidenreng Rappang. So there are many school now apply Google Google Meet, and also Google Classroom, and then they mix with Google WhatsApp chat, WhatsApp chat with their parents, and then their parents will instruct their children to do based on the instruction given by the teacher. And then remember that we have 1,000, and then also almost a million device or platforms that easily to find in internet. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many resources we have. If we don't have, if we don't know how to use them, it will never be enough. I think that's enough. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Bapa, for the information. And now here we have another question from Miss Dahlia Arancel. How can blended learning enhance practical skills acquisition, improvement, and validation? Who would like to answer first from the speaker? So how this blended learning can enhance some practical skills acquisition, improvement, and validation.
Okay, can I?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Actually, some the three speaker, I think, have explained more about the foundation of the learning, that the blended learning, this the combination between the traditional learning system and then the computer based technology, and then also the blended learning mix of the multimedia technology, CD-ROM video streaming, virtual classroom, voicemail, and online text animation and video streaming. I think that's the blended learning. So how could the student get in acquisition, and how to evaluate our learning through in the blended? I think some in my previous presentation, I have shown some tool that have can lead us to lead our student to acquisition their in acquisition, and also to evaluate easily, like some platform in Bloom taxonomy through iPad or Android application, in creating, in evaluating, and analyzing, and applying, and understanding, and remembering. I think just now I have explained, in, for example, in Android application, in evaluating, we have conferencing like this, and then we have some kind of platform application in Google, like moderating, or networking, or posting. And then in analyzing, we have questioning, or organizing, surveying, and then meshing. And then in applying, we have editing. That's the name of platform. And then understanding, we have tweeting, blogging, and express categorizing. That's the kind of application or platform in Android. And then in remembering, in the bottom of the Bloom taxonomy, we have Google searching, word processing. That's I think hopefully can answer that your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Bapa. Any other additional information? Yes, Sir Richard.
Excuse me. Okay, my answer for that, how can we assure the students' acquisition of learning? It is already on the challenge for the teachers how to develop a well-organized, systematic, and well-planned blended learning materials. We have these MELCs, MELCs, or most essential learning competencies. These MELCs should be brief, concise, and straight to the point. Um, in the blended learning, it should be on the target. It's like a dart. We should hit it, as what Mr. has said in the Bloom's taxonomy. We should hit the most desired outcome for that particular lesson. We should not be in the circular mode. In the Philippines, paligoy-ligoy. No? We should be straight to the point, and it should tackle the MELCs, the most essential learning competencies. And these most essential learning competencies should have well-defined objectives. And this objective, primarily, in our university, we have this, just like in elementary and high school, we have this cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Despite of the fact that there's no face-to-face classroom, objectives should be still anchored on the three guidelines: the affective, the psychomotor, and the cognitive. So it means what is missing is just the physical classroom, but the learning is still continuous. So it's up to the teacher on how to develop a well-planned material. I believe it's a bit challenging, but I believe collaborative effort, it can be done easily. Okay, ma'am.
Thank you so much,
Can I
sir.
add for the last response, ma'am?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, but remember that in designing or prepare some tool or digital material for our teacher, we have to consider there are some factors based on Richard. I forgot the book. Richard in approaches in curriculum. If I forget, Richard and Roger, yeah, Richard and Roger, 2002. That some consider the factor to consider in designing the material in our classroom. The first is we have to consider about the learner. In this case, we have to consider about the need analysis. Need analysis here, there are 2 points. Target needs and learning needs of the student, and the second is we have to know about the knowledge or about the knowledge about the learner, and then we have to know about the experience of the learner, experience of the teacher, and also the experience of the institution. And then we have to consider about their first language, the level of literacy, aspirations, interest, and purposes. And the second factor is the curriculum and the context. In here, the value to be taught and a goal and objective. And the third is